If you have been following global affairs, you are likely aware that women in modern-day Iran are currently living under a multitude of restrictive laws. We often see images of them behind veils, facing limitations on their civil rights, and engaging in a grueling struggle to make their voices heard. But there is a historical truth that will leave you absolutely stunned. If we were to use a time machine and travel back roughly 2,500 years to the Achaemenid Empire, ancient Persia, we would witness a reality that is diametrically opposed to what we see today. This was a society where women were not merely shadows standing beside men. Imagine a world where a woman could own vast estates spanning thousands of hectares, command massive naval fleets, and even serve as the ultimate kingmaker, deciding who would sit upon the throne of an empire that stretched from India to the borders of Greece. Why is there such a strange rupture in history? How did we go from legendary female generals to a period where women were pushed behind curtains? Today, we won't just list a few names. We are going to live in the atmosphere of ancient Persepolis to see just how powerful and free Persian women truly were. This isn't just a story about feminism. It's a story about a civilization that was thousands of years ahead of its time. Let's begin with a name that forced even Greek historians, who were notoriously dismissive of women, to bow in respect. Artemisia I of Caria. To give you some context, the Greeks of that era viewed women primarily as domestic tools for procreation. They had no education and no political voice. Yet, when the Persian great king Xerxes launched his invasion of Greece, he brought with him a secret weapon who happened to be a woman. Artemisia wasn't just a king's consort. She was the sovereign queen of a neighboring allied territory. But she didn't sit at home waiting for news of victory. She took the helm, personally commanding 5 of the most powerful warships in the entire empire. There is a fascinating anecdote recorded by the historian Herodotus. During a military council before the naval battle of Salamis, while all the male generals were bloodthirsty, eager to launch a direct frontal assault to score points with the king, Artemisia was the only one brave enough to dissent. She looked Xerxes in the eye and said, "Your Majesty, do not engage them at sea. The Greeks at sea are like men compared to women. You will lose." Xerxes didn't get angry. On the contrary, he deeply respected her counsel, even though he ultimately chose to attack due to the pressure from his other generals. The result? The Persian navy suffered a disastrous defeat, exactly as she had predicted. But it was within this defeat that Artemisia's brilliance truly shone. As her ship was being relentlessly pursued by a Greek vessel, she executed a daring trick. She ordered her ship to ram into an allied Persian ship that was blocking her path. The Greeks, seeing this, assumed she was either one of their own or had betrayed Persia, so they ceased their pursuit. Xerxes, watching from a nearby mountain, believed she had sunk an enemy ship and uttered a bitter remark aimed at his own men. "Today, my men have become women, and my women have become men." As you can see, her power didn't come from acting like a man, but from her immense personal intellect and grit. Moving away from swords and shields, let's talk about money. In any era, those who control the economy hold the power. And in ancient Persia, women held the purse strings very tightly. In 1933, in the ruins of Persepolis, archaeologists discovered tens of thousands of clay tablets recording financial transactions. They were shocked to see one name appearing over and over: Irdabama. Who was she? She was a high-powered businesswoman, a real estate mogul, and a manufacturing tycoon of the ancient world. Ownership rights and the personal seal. While women in many other contemporary civilizations had to rely on their husbands or fathers to hold property titles, Irdabama possessed her own official seal. In those days, a seal was like a digital signature. It represented supreme legal authority. She owned thousands of workers, personally signed orders for the export of wine and grain, and managed colossal textile workshops. maternity benefits ahead of their time. But here is the most staggering part: the welfare system for female laborers. In the clay tablets, there are clear records of pay equity. Women who served as supervisors were paid significantly more than male laborers. Remarkably, ancient Persian society already had a form of maternity leave. When a woman became pregnant, she was entitled to special rations, including extra wine, grain, and meat for nourishment. After giving birth, they were granted leave and received additional stipends. Interestingly, if they gave birth to a son, the bonus was slightly higher. While there was still a slight patriarchal bias, the fact that maternity benefits existed 2,500 years ago is a monumental leap forward compared to the rest of the world. This proves that the ancient Persians understood that a woman's labor and her role in continuing the lineage were national assets that required protection. Do not fall into the trap of thinking that women in the Persian royal court were mere dolls who spent their days applying makeup while waiting for the king. They were seasoned, sophisticated politicians. Let's talk about Queen Atossa. Atossa was the daughter of Cyrus the Great, the founder of the empire. She wasn't just the wife of King Darius, she was the symbol of legitimacy itself. Her power was so vast that she was considered the guardian of the throne. Choosing the successor. When Darius was deliberating over which son would inherit the throne, a fierce battle broke out among the princes. However, Atossa used her immense influence to convince the king that Xerxes was the most deserving. Her argument was twofold. Xerxes was born after Darius had become king, and more importantly, Xerxes carried the royal blood of Cyrus the Great through her. Atossa did not just intervene in successions, she directly influenced foreign policy. She maintained her own network of spies, had her own private revenue streams from cities granted to her by decree, and never had to ask her husband for permission to embark on a project. Her image was so respected that foreign ambassadors visiting Persia would always seek to gain the queen's favor first if they wanted their diplomatic missions to succeed. To understand the freedom of ancient Persian women, one must look at their daily lives. They were not confined to the home. They rode horses and hunted alongside men. They participated in grand banquets where they sat at the same tables, engaged in conversation, and debated politics. Exquisite fashion sense. Ancient Persian women were incredibly stylish. They wore exquisite pleated gowns, often in vibrant purples or brilliant reds, adorned with gold and precious gemstones. They used kohl to accentuate their deep eyes and wore perfumes distilled from roses and saffron. But these garments were not meant to make them fragile. Their clothing was designed to be both noble and flexible enough for them to leap onto a horse at a moment's notice. This freedom was protected by Zoroastrianism, the primary religion of Persia at the time, which emphasized the balance between male and female. They believed that both genders had the duty to protect the good and fight against evil. Therefore, the imprisonment of women was seen as contrary to the will of the divine. Looking back at our 20-minute journey, what do we see? A vivid portrait of ancient Persian women, those who lived, loved, fought, and mastered their own destinies thousands of years ago. It is a bitter irony to compare their status then with the present. History does not always move in a straight line toward progress. There are times when it retreats, times when the values of freedom are obscured by harsh political and religious shifts. But the stories of Artemisia, Irdabama, and Atossa are always there, hidden beneath the dust of time and the ancient clay. They serve as a reminder. The women of this land carry the blood of female generals and brilliant economists. The current restrictions are merely a temporary chapter in their millennial-old history. Thank you for traveling through the depths of Persian history with me. I hope this has provided you with a fresh and inspiring perspective. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment about which historical figure you admire the most. Goodbye, and see you on our next exploration.